specialist, and he's going to talk about the U.S. franchises in Brazil. I think he has a very interesting, let's say, background about this industry to share with all of you. Renato was having some technical difficulties. There he is. Welcome, Renato. Can you hear us?
Yes, I can hear you. Can you all hear me?
Yes, we can see you all well.
Finally, when we did the test, everything was 101%. Today, that is the official date, it was only 1%, but now it's solved. Hello, Fabio. Hello, Nicolas. Hello, Ivan. And hello, Yendi. If you're ready, Yendi, you can put my presentation. Thank you so much. Okay. You all received the first presentation from Fabio Amada, who represents the state of Florida in Brazil. After that, from Nicolas Rubio, who is responsible for all processed food and beverage in agriculture in Brazil. He answered all the requests related with this. I'm working for the West Commercial Service in São Paulo, Brazil. We have 5 offices in country, and we have a commercial specialist that cover all sectors except for processed food and beverage. That's led by FAS. Nicolas just did his presentation. I'm prepared this presentation here to focus in the franchise sector, much more than food concepts. However, if you are in any different sector, you can think about us because we can support anyone else. I'm a commercial specialist leading the franchise sector, but I also lead the service, hospitality, and chemicals, okay? And I'm also responsible for all inbound missions from the USA to Brazil, which I worked with Ivan and Fabio in 3 of them, receiving 3 different governors from Florida to Brazil in the past 10, 15 years. So we can go for the next slide, please. Very quickly, I just put some specific bullets for the market overview in Brazil. We have a population, it's about 210 million people. Brazil is the 9th largest economy in the world. In 2019, our GDP was $1.8 trillion, and we are the 2nd largest economy in the Western Hemisphere. So why I'm putting this information here, because Fabio mentioned this to you, and Nicolas support a lot of Floridian companies trying to do business in Brazil, because Brazil is the #1 partner of Florida and twice as bigger than China, who is the second country that doing business with Florida. Brazil is very rich in resources, natural resources, including on it, water, clean energy, and some other issues. We have a very diversified economy. The two-way trade, Brazil has the #1 partner today is China, but China is consuming commodities from Brazil. That's it. And in terms of our diversified economy, the two-way trade between Brazil and USA, we have lots of different products in the two-way trade. So Brazil deal a lot with the USA. You start with commodities and going through like aircraft. And Brazil is also a strategic location close to other South American markets. And Brazil is member of Mercosur, which when a US company start doing business in Brazil, they're allowed to export its products that are at least made some portion of them in Brazil, to Paraguay, Uruguay, Argentina, and Chile without any import tax, okay? Let's go for the next one. Now we can see here some numbers from the Brazilian franchise sector. The franchise sector in Brazil is a very resilient sector. Brazil recently had, as everybody knows, some problems in terms of impeachment and the economic recession. Brazil was recovering from that. But during this entire period, the franchise sector was still growing on. If you see in the left side, we saw that from 2017 to 18, the total amount of the sector reduced. However, reduced because of the exchange rate between Brazilian reais and US dollars. But in dollars, Brazil in 2019, franchise sector represented $46 billion. But if you go to the right side of the presentation, we will see that in Brazilian reais is still growing since 2015. As I mentioned, this is a very really resilient sector that is still growing country. Next one, please. In terms of brands and also number of units, you see from 2016 to 2017, the numbers go a little bit down, but see, since 2017, the number of brands in brands, franchise brands in country is still growing, and we closed 2019 with about 3,000 different brands in country, which makes Brazil the number fifth worldwide. In terms of units, is still growing, and as you can see, since 2015, it's growing a lot. And 2019, we have about 161,000 individual or units for franchised or stores. Again, that's excellent marketing with lots of opportunities. And I'd like to do a parenthesis here again. If you are not in the sector, you can think about in any sector that we are ready to support you in the Brazilian market. Next, please. As you can see, almost 1.4 million jobs are generated in franchise sector. That's a huge important portion in the retail in country. And that's, as I mentioned to you, doesn't matter that we had some political issues, economic issues, this sector is still moving on. Next one, please. Franchise sector as chemical, for example, the chemical sector in countries is divided by 9 subsectors. And the franchise sector is divided by 11 that you can see here in this slide. That came from food, health and beauty, services, fashion and accessories, hotel and tourism, education, housing and construction, automotive services, informatics and electronics, entertainment and cleaning. I just point it out to the 11 subsectors because the number one in terms of business is processed food and beverage under franchise concept, which accounted for 2019 in $12 billion. This is a very important subsector to be worked in country. Next one, please. Projections that was done for 2020 before the COVID-19. To grow in revenue 8%, to grow in units 6%, to grow in brands in 1%, and to grow in jobs 6%. And you can ask me, okay, Renato, when the pandemic time comes, how is the numbers right now? The Brazilian Franchise Association decided to not create an expectation. Sorry about that, there is a car here. Some expectation in terms of numbers, and they will bring with the numbers in the beginning of 2021 that will be related for 2020. But can you come back for one slide, please? Just very quickly, for you to have a notion, the food concept, in order to not close everything, they create a specific promotion for them to survive in market. So they were selling the worst portion at the time that the country was completely under lockdown. They were providing coupons for people to buy in a reasonable price to use in the time that is right now when the restaurants are open again. but you can buy a very cheap coupon to use eating a very sophisticated dish. They are also were selling food coupons as a gift. If you think about the health and beauty sector, health specifically, they grow a lot during this COVID time. Services was another subsector that was growing a lot. The cleaning grew so much during the COVID time because everybody was trying to learn how to clean houses and the companies in the right way in order to avoid any infection or any problems with the virus. So even during this worst time, some subsectors in franchise grow in the Brazilian market. And just to remind you all, we are here to support not only franchise, but any kind of sector. You can go for the next one, please, again. So based with the numbers for 2020 that will be informed at the beginning of 2021, sorry about that. We assume that some numbers will come very interesting based in those segments that grow a lot. And some others will see what happened. The sector of education also grew during this pandemic time. Next one, please. Here I put the it's saying here top 50 food concepts in Brazil. The correct says top 50 franchise concepts in Brazil. From the top 50 that I get the ones that belongs for processed food and beverage. And I classify the left side international brands and the right side Brazilian brands. Okay, as you can see in the international brands, we have a McDonald's, which is the number 2 in Brazil with 3,800 stores. AMPM is the number 3 in terms of chain or brand chain with 2,377 stores. Subway is now the number 5 with 1,800 stores. Subway used to be last year the number 3. They used to have more than 2,200 stores, but they are now readapting themselves in the Brazilian market. Burger King is the number 14th with 1,200 stores. And Copenhagen is a Danish company with 380. And I put the right size, the Brazilians one that you can compare. And here we have Cacau Show. It's a store that sells chocolate with very, very, very qualified products, high-end consumers, but they have any kind of chocolate that they're offering. They're the number 4 in Brazil, 2,300 stores. Beer Mania, that's the competitor for AMPM, 1,100. Bob's, that's the Brazilian concept in terms of competitors for McDonald's and Burger King. They are the number 17th with a little bit more than 1,000 stores. After him, we have Chiquinho. After them, sorry, we have Chiquinho. It's an ice cream company, which is also operating inside of the USA right now in Florida. They have 509 stores in Brazil. And the number 37, Oji, that's another way to sell ice creams in country with 413. They have partnership also with the Italian company. So in this slide, I want to like only to mention you who are operating in Brazil, but for you that deal with processed food and beverage and see possibility to export for those companies in country. And you can specifically talking about food itself or raw material to be adapted in their products, and even equipment if you deal with equipment. Okay, just for you to think about, inside of the top 50 franchise concepts in Brazil, I just mentioned here 10 that are between the Brazilian concepts and also international concepts with 4 American concepts in a Danish one. That's a huge market that you can have some opportunities and with lots of potentiality for US companies to establish in country or to identify a partnership in country. The next slide, please. In terms of international brands in Brazil, you saw how many brands Brazil has in the other slides. We just have a few of them, 214 international brands operating in country. And from this 30, they are from 30 different countries, which represents a growth of 13% compared to 2018. Inside of these 214 international brands, 81 came from USA, and it's also a growth of 3% comparing with 2018. And inside of the 81 US concepts, 55 are from food. I mentioned to you some of them in the slides showing 4 of them, but we also have in country Pizza Hut, KFC, Dunkin' Donuts, Johnny Rockets, Jelly Belly, and we used to have like Wendy's and Red Lobster. These two closed their operation. I would like to make a very quickly parenthesis here. The US markets and the Brazilian market are so different. We have something specifically in terms of Brazil and USA. Two countries with continental dimension, two huge countries. But the system, the franchise system inside of the USA is much more sophisticated than the Brazil one. Brazil has a sophisticated market for franchise, but it's different from the USA. You see the number 2 has 3,400 stores in Brazil. We have a category even in the USA and also in Brazil, but very well established in the USA, which we call the multi-unit franchisee. And this kind of person can have, for example, 500 Subways, 350 McDonald's, and some other concepts. A person like that, when they are huge, they have about 4,000, 5,000 stores as a multi-unit franchisee. And just this person is bigger in terms of stores compared to the number 1, which is Boticário in Brazil. So we need to have a notion when you talk about both markets. And every time I used to say for US concepts that are thinking to establish themselves in Brazil, that they will not open 10, 20, 30 stores when they start their operation, okay? What I should say that the US concept must identify a potential partner in country. That's my job. We are working right now with one very famous brand from New York, and they are in the process to have the one-on-one meetings with potential investors. And those potential investors normally belongs to the Brazilian Franchise Association. We are talking about franchisors in Brazil that used to be also master franchisors. And we have three specifically Brazilian companies that are specialized in operates international brands in country, and they have lots of interest in US concepts. Another parenthesis here, Brazilians trust and like the quality of US products, and it's not different from franchise, okay? So with this scenario and having notion that you must follow the steps of the Brazilian market, you will go and we will succeed with your brand in country. We have some cases that I can point it out, such as Pizza Hut and Subway. They entered to the market, they had several problems, and they closed their operation, even KFC, because they would like to operate in the way that they used to operate in the USA, and doesn't work. Okay, and now they are in country, working very well, moving on and growing, but step by step, not in huge numbers and huge amounts. They are following the process of the Brazilian market, and they're doing very well. Dunkin' Donuts, for example, they were in Brazil, they closed all the operations and come back 10 years after that. And they're going very well because now they are adapting, not them only, everybody that came from international market to here. Sometimes you need to adapt the size of your store, the way that you're selling. If you be a shopping center store, if you be a street store, if you are thinking to have like carts, several issues should be considered, and that's why we are here to support those companies. Very quickly, uh, I'm here in São Paulo. Nicolas is in São Paulo. Fabio is in São Paulo. Why we are in São Paulo? Because São Paulo is a huge market. Maybe Fabio mentioned something. I was with some problems of connection at the beginning. But very quickly for you to know, the São Paulo city, it's about 12 million people. The greater São Paulo area, we are 20 million people. And the state of São Paulo, 42 million people. Why you are mentioning those numbers, Renato? Because you should think to start your operation or have some operations in São Paulo, period. But as happening in the USA, a company which is in Florida is not capable to manage all the things for their company in California. So they used to have someone that will be their partner in California. You should think the same for Brazil, okay? And the São Paulo, as I mentioned, has 42 million people, but the São Paulo state GDP is bigger than Argentina, Chile, and Peru together. An example. The GDP for the city of São Paulo, we talk about the city itself, is bigger than the Ecuador one, is bigger than Bolivia one, is bigger than Colombia. So for you to have a notion, the power of the city of São Paulo and the state of São Paulo. And in terms of business, when you think about Brazil, the first important portion is the city of São Paulo. The second one is the interior of São Paulo. The third one is the state of São Paulo. And the fourth one is to be Rio de Janeiro. So if you're thinking internationally, if you're thinking about Brazil, you must think, again, you must think to do something in the state of São Paulo, in São Paulo area, okay? The next slide, please. There you have here my contacts. As I mentioned at the beginning, I'm a commercial specialist. Like me in Brazil, as I mentioned, we have 5 officers. We cover any single sector that you need. Again, except for processed food and beverage, that will be under Nicolas' responsibilities. There you have my contacts. I'm also able for Q&A. I'm seeing Ivan here for a long time that I haven't seen here. So good.
Hi, Renato. All this talk about food has made me really hungry.
All right, I think that I'm closing here, and I don't know if Ivan probably will moderate for Q&As, right?
Right. You broke up a little bit there, Renato. All right, well, thank you so much for everyone. Anybody have any questions? Let's see if anyone has any questions. All right. Well, thank you so much to all our panelists. I want to thank you for your time. I hope this was informative. This will be up on the America's Food and Beverage website, probably in the next few days. So if anybody would like to re-see the sessions, you can by going to americasfoodandbeverage.com. I want to thank Renato, Fabio, and Nicolas for your time and putting on this great presentation.
Our pleasure, Ivan.
Thank you, Ivan. Thank you.
See you later. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.